Hi, I'm Carla Turner, and today I will take you through an intermediate reformer flow. All you need is your reformer, of course, and some sort of squishy ball. So this is an official Pilates ball, but you could use like a little soccer ball, a ball that your kids have. We just need some kind of ball or even a small pillow. So we'll come to 2 medium and 1 light spring. So on a typical balanced body reformer, that would be like 2 red and a blue. And then we'll come to the very, very edge of our reformer. So I'm going to bring my legs up and over, draping them over the foot bar. So ideally, you'll have the backs of your knees up against the foot bar. My bum is going to fall off the reformer if I go that far. We're going to squish the ball just underneath that sacrum. So on this reformer specifically, I'm not going to come as far forward. So arms can come straight out in front, nice flat back, long spine from the top of the head all the way to the tailbone, taking a big deep breath in. And then as you exhale, we're hinging back with a flat back and then coming straight back up again. So we're not having to go super far down here. Focus is into waking up our abs here, some ab activation. So typically we're exhaling on the effort in Pilates, inhaling during preparation, but if the opposite feels better for you, that's completely fine too. We add on. Next time we go back, one arm, right arm comes up, bicep by temple, and then the arm lowers as we come up. So every time we go back, we're hinging one arm back. And you might find with this one that you have to readjust occasionally with where you're seated. Next time we go back, let's stay back. Both arms come straight back behind us, lowering and lifting our straight arms. So we want a slight little tuck of the pelvis here. Certainly not so that we're arching in the back. Next time your arms are out front, we switch it up. Arms open and close. So I'm going to bring a soft bend into my arms. It's like we're hugging a tree. Shoulders away from the ears. And then we'll do one of each. So arms come up overhead, arms lower, open the arms, close, straight back up. So for efficiency purposes, you could just keep a soft bend into the arm as you're lifting and lowering. Last 2. And then last one, arms come straight back overhead. We can come up too. So you might need to readjust slightly. Again, ball under that tailbone. Adding on with the arms. So adding on with the right leg. So as I hinge back, right leg comes to tabletop, and then I'm kicking that right leg long as I come up. Tabletop when I go back, arms come up to the ceiling, leg kicks to the wall. So at any point here, you can either leave out the arms or the legs if it becomes either too much on the body, maybe it's too much coordination, too much on the brain. Next time you're back, leg is in tabletop, arms are just above that foot bar. We extend and bend the right leg, extending and bending. Last 2. And then last one, coming all the way up. We'll switch. Left leg is into tabletop, hinging back. When we come up, arms come up. Leg to tabletop, arms lower down. So I did this a few days ago, sitting at the end of the reformer just like this, and I felt my abs for days. So sorry, not sorry. Last 2, and then last one, and we'll come all the way up. Nice. Okay, let's take the ball out of there. So I'm going to scooch back a little bit here. Ball is going to come into my hands, and I'm going to roll all the way down, and then we can pop the ball between our knees here. So I'm going to bring my heels onto the foot bar. Totally up to you if you want to have that headrest up or down. I like to have mine up. Sometimes it's a little trial and error. All right, heels are on, feet are flexed like they're up against a wall. We'll take a big deep breath in. As you exhale, press your feet into the foot bar. We're stretching the legs out nice and long, bending and coming back in. Exhaling to go out. Inhaling to come in. So we're finding our full range of motion. when we extend out, we're finding long legs, but we're not wanting to lock out the knee. So there should never kind of be any sort of a bounce feel or look to it. We'll add on, let's come halfway in, squeezing the ball 3 times. So it's not like a trampoline where we're trying to go quick and bounce. It's just 3 slow squeezes before we extend long. Come halfway in, 3 slow squeezes. I'm only using that top half range of my reformer. And then last one, we'll come halfway in and stay in. So I'm going to walk my feet a little bit closer together. So there's extra tension into that ball. Keeping that squeeze with the ball, might get the shakes on the inner thighs. And we'll pulse the carriage back an inch, forward an inch. Teeny tiny. And then it can grow bigger, more like a foot. And then bigger yet, but not quite our full range of motion. Feet remain flexed. Last 2. Last one, stretch the legs out nice and long. We can bend, come back in again. Slide your feet down onto your toes. So we've got all 10 toes. It's okay to look up and check. Balls of our feet are on, heels are lifted. Arms are relaxed by our sides here. Extending the legs long. Inhaling to come back in. So footwork, we're warming up the feet, the ankles, the calves, the legs. And we're taking a lot of impact off our joints. It's like squatting, but we're laying down, of course. Next time you're out, stay out. Heels lift, heels lower. Moving into calf raises here. And then we'll bend our legs, come all the way in. Okay, ball comes into our hands. Bring the arches of your feet onto your foot bar, hip distance apart. So hips, knees, ankles all lined up. Ball comes up to the ceiling here. Big deep breath in. We exhale, we press out, arms lower down, ball taps our thighs, arms come back up to the ceiling. So now that we don't have that ball between our knees anymore, you might find that your knees maybe fall out to the sides or in toward each other. We're wanting to really keep that alignment. Foot, knee, hip. And then we'll come halfway in. I'm going to walk my left foot over slightly toward the center of my reformer. Right leg comes to tabletop. Extend that left leg long. Bend the left leg to come in. So that right leg is solid in tabletop, knee above hip. Adding on. When the carriage comes in, extend the leg long over the foot bar. Knee comes to tabletop when we go out. Adding in a tricep extension. Bending, ball comes by the head when the leg comes to tabletop, and then we're extending the leg long. You can always omit the arms here. Joseph Pilates called his work contrology, so we're finding control, avoiding any kind of speed here. Next time you're out, stay out. Ball is bent, our arms are bent with the ball rather. Leg comes up to the ceiling, carriage is still. I'm lowering and lifting the right leg here. Good. Arms can come up to the ceiling too. Let's lower the arms when we lower the leg. Adding in movement of our carriage is our next step here. Carriage comes in, leg and arms come down, reaching all 3 limbs back up to the ceiling, lowering back down. Left leg is still extending fully. We don't want to forget about it. Last one, and then we can bend everything and come all the way in. All right, we'll switch. Right heel, right arch rather, comes a little bit closer to the center of the reformer. Left leg is in tabletop. We're bending and straightening the right leg to press the carriage out and in. Adding that extension of the left leg over the foot bar. Left leg extends long. We bend the left leg to come back in. We can add that tricep extension. Left leg is in tabletop, carriage is out, ball toward the forehead. So my upper arms are not really moving here. We'll go out and stay out. Left leg comes to the ceiling, arms to the ceiling, carriage doesn't move. Left leg lowers and lifts. So I'm pressing into my right arch. Keeping that right hip down. I can feel my right hip wants to come up. Adding in the arms. Arms lower and lift. Shoulders away from those shoulder blocks. We stay here or next level. 3 limbs lower, 3 limbs lift. Last one. And then we'll come all the way back in. Nice, guys. Okay, knees can come into your chest, just rocking from side to side here. Maybe rolling out through the ankles, circling through the ankles here. Okay, ball comes back between our knees. I'm going to lower my headrest as we move into some bridging. So arms are by our sides. Scooch away from your shoulder blocks if needed here. Heels are onto that foot bar. Pressing into that ball, we're going to lift our hips up, opening up through the front of the body, strengthening the back of the body, and then lowering back down again. Big deep breath in to prepare. Exhale, flat back, hinge bridge, lowering and lifting. So it's okay to readjust a little bit here. I can feel that my feet are wanting to fall in toward each other, pronating. I don't want that. Adding on. Every time we come up, squish that ball 3 times. 3 slow motion squeezes. So bridging is the opposite shape of sitting. We're trying to counteract all that sitting, maybe driving that you do in a day. And then we'll stay up, adjusting your ball if it's falling like mine, just a sign that I need to squish a little harder into that ball. All right, feet walk a little bit closer so that we have our inner thighs working overtime, moving into knee extension. So I'm pressing the carriage out, bending my legs to come back in. Not necessarily fully lengthening the legs. I want to maintain this bridge here. Last one. And then we'll come all the way in. All right, coming into some single leg kicks here. Goal, don't drop the ball. Thighs, stay nice and parallel. 1 leg at a time, kicks long. So a little bit of a shift is going to happen here as I go from side to side. As little as possible, though, is the goal. Next time your right leg is long, keep it long. We're pressing the leg into the ball and then releasing. A lot of sneaky inner thigh work today. Last 2. Last one, and then switch legs as much as we probably don't want to. Left squishes into the ball. Last 2. Hands relaxed. Last one. And then feet come down, come all the way down. Very good. Okay, ball can come off to the side. We'll scooch up just a little bit here, coming into the series of 5, which will also include a hamstring stretch. So single leg stretch. Left leg comes in toward you. I have my left hand on my left ankle. Pull, pull, and then switch. Curling up nice and high. So we're using our arms to help us come up. Last 3. Last one. Double leg stretch. Nose is between your knees. You're in a tight, tight ball. Hands can come to the shins or ankles. Head stays up. Arms go long, legs go long. I'm circling the arms around, keeping the legs glued together. Last 2. Last one. Left leg comes to the ceiling. I'm reaching for my calf or ankle for a double pull. Pull, pull, switch. Pull, pull, switch. This is a single leg, straight leg stretch. Single straight leg stretch. Classic Joseph Pilates mat exercises, which I will be adding 100% mat Pilates workouts to the channel very soon. Last one, hands come behind the head. Double straight leg, lower and lift. Low back is pressing in toward the carriage. Modification is to bend the legs as we lower and lift, especially if you feel it in your low back. Last two. Last one, crisscross. Armpit toward knee. We switch. We add rotation. Abs need a break. Last three. Last two. Last one. And then come all the way down, letting your abs just chill for a second. We can let our knees fall one way, arms can reach the other, so we're getting some rotation into the body here, into a twist. Good. All right, legs can go long. We can roll ourselves up. Another way to come up is to tuck your feet underneath the foot bar to bring yourself all the way up. Okay, let's come to a medium spring. One medium spring. So balanced body, that would be like a red spring. And then I'm going to come into a high kneel. So you have the option to stay in a low kneel, or you could sit crisscross applesauce, and we can bring our strap into our hands. So you can use the long loop, a little less tension, or you could use the short loop. Arm, closest hand coming into that strap. Free hand comes around that fist, making a fist. Arms are straight out front for hug a tree. So twisting toward the foot bar and then coming back through center. So my left hip wants to come with me. So I'm trying to counteract that, keeping the left hip back and bringing my right hip a little bit forward. So think like the foot bar hip, we want to come a little bit forward. In case you're not working with the left arm here. Adding on, arms are out front, we come to hug the moon, trying to keep that rounded shape straight out in front. Think like in line with your chin, in line with your nose, in line with your middle part if you have one, or use your imagination. Good. We add back into that oblique twist, twisting toward the foot bar. Keeping that foot bar hip forward. Last two, adding some spinal rotation and always ensuring we move our spine in all directions in Pilates. And then last one. Good. Perfect. Okay, we'll come into a bow and arrow. I'm going to use my long loop for this one. So my free arm goes over top of the foot bar. If you've got your left hand in your strap, that'll match me. We've got our fingers forward, thumb kind of digging in toward my armpit, aiming for my armpit, trying to make my arms parallel, and then coming back through center. Good. Keeping that left hip back. Reminding you as much as myself. Good. Adding in a rainbow reset. So my hands are coming together. Doesn't really matter how your hands come. Reaching up and over toward the risers and then coming back through center. We'll do 3 more like that. Always looking where that strap is going to go. So one thing about Pilates teachers, we're not really good at counting, okay? So there may be some times where you end up with 1 or 2 more reps than you planned. I think that's 4, okay? Close enough. All right. This one is potentially the most boring exercise for our upper body, but it's an important one. We want to strengthen our rotator cuff. So closest hand, left arm here. Left elbow is tucked into my rib cage. I'm hanging on to my short loop again. Crossing the body and then opening back up again. External rotation for that rotator cuff. You yourself, or maybe you've heard of somebody, I think we all have, who has a rotator cuff injury. We're trying to keep those rotator cuffs strong so that when we go do things outside in the world, we're not hurting ourselves, doing something silly. Last one. And then we'll switch. Other hand. Still that short loop. You could use the long one here if it's too heavy. So opening up out to the side. Good. Lovely. Opening up through the chest. Just a little. Good. External rotation for this rotator cuff. The last one was internal rotation, to be clear. Good. And then we relax. Perfect. Okay. Let's come into mermaid before we focus on our lower half again. So my closest shin is coming up against the shoulder blocks. Left shin touching the shoulder blocks, making sure that we're on our sits bones. Right hand is coming onto that foot bar. So my right foot is touching my left knee. Goal is to keep your left hip down. Imagine that I'm in the room with you, pressing down on your left hip here because it will want to come up. We press the reformer away, the carriage away. That left arm comes up and over, and then I'm tapping the headrest. So like I said earlier, moving our spine in all directions is important. Lateral flexion of the spine, a side bend is what we're getting in here. Good. Next time you come over, we'll bring both hands to the front corner, really trying to press my left hip down. Arms stay straight, variation of swan here, peeling myself up. So getting in some gentle extension and rotation, spinal. If this feels good, you could always go wide with the hands. Same exercise. Left glute presses down. Next time you're looking down at your springs, arms are long, bend and straighten your arms, bilateral press. We stay here, or next time you're in, left arm reaches out to the side, unilateral press here, right arm out and in. What's happening with your left glute? Keep it down. Spine is long, top of the head, down toward that low back. Last one, and then we'll come all the way in. Okay, couple options here. We can either bring our squishy ball onto our lowered headrest and use our ball as a pillow, or this is the option I'm going to take. We're going to lie on our side. So my left forearm is down on my headrest. You could go left forearm in front of your shoulder blocks. And I'm lying onto my side here. You could bring that ball underneath as a reminder to keep your side lifted, because what we don't want to do is act like we're chilling on the couch, okay? So ball can go underneath here. I'm going to bring my strap, my front strap, onto the long loop, onto the arch of my foot. So scooching back, giving yourself lots of room behind the reformer, and then also toward the foot bar. Bend and stretch. Bringing this leg to 90 degrees. Ideally, if your carriage is a bit bigger, mine's pretty small, you could have this leg at 92. Relaxing into that bottom hand, long with the body here. So it's a temptation for all of us to want to look at what our leg's doing. Trust that your leg can do it without you looking at it, okay? Bending and stretching. Last one. Keep the leg long. So we're going to come from internal rotation, pointing down toward the floor, and then external rotation up to the ceiling. So it's not about what the ankle's doing, it's about what the hip, what the leg is doing. We're also ensuring we move our joints in all directions, so they always do that. 2. And then last one. Let's bend and come all the way in. All right. Straight leg lift here. Foot is parallel with the floor here, lifting and lowering. So it's not about how high we can lift the leg. It's about how still we can keep our torso. We're kind of wasting our time if our leg goes up really high, but then I'm bringing my hip in toward my rib. Focus here is on into our glutes, our glute med specifically. Hand can be on your hip as a reminder or as a kickstand. A couple of different places. Won't take long to feel this one. Last 2. You can always do this without the strap on your foot too. Last one, stay here, little pulses. The meanest part of all. 3, 2, and last one. Good job. Little high five if you need it. Okay, we'll come into a sweep forward. So we found that abduction, adduction with our leg. Now we're coming into our sweep forward and then back again. Flexion and extension of that hip. So same thing, I'm not wanting to see how far my leg can, I want to see how far my leg can go, but only when it involves keeping my pelvis, my torso stable. That's not the only thing we're focusing on. Okay, this is the meanest part of all. Leg goes forward, toes down to the floor. We pulse. This is like a straight line to the butt. internal rotation. 3, 2, and then tiny little circles one way that's slow so that we're not bouncing into the reformer. And then the other way, still internally rotated for 3, 2, and last one, come all the way in. Very nice job, guys. Okay, before we go to the other side, we'll stretch out that glute a little bit. So figure 4 stretch. That right leg can come over top, hinging forward. Maybe you're pressing into that right thigh, never onto the joint though. And for good measure, I'll do the other one. Certainly going to do it later. That lower leg is stabilizing us the entire time, so it is working. Good. Okay, everything we did, we're going to repeat on the other side. So I'll start with my upper body, flipping to face the other direction. Nothing has changed with our springs. I'm grabbing onto that short loop with my closest hand, my right arm. Arms come out in front. Fists in line with my chest, my sternum, twisting toward the window and then back. And I have a window. You might not have a window. How about the foot bar? Good. That's another thing we Pilates teachers will often do. We won't say left or right. We'll say toward the wall, toward the window. Adding our hug the moon. Arms are out front. So pausing to reset so we're not rushing it. Coming straight up overhead. Good. So if it's a little bit heavy for us, this is a little, just a touch heavy for me to find that perfect alignment. Chin, nose, forehead, straight up. But this is our Pilates practice. So I'm not going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. Add back that twist in again. We're working toward it. Last one, up overhead, twisting toward your foot bar, and then we can come back through center. Okay, we'll come into our bow and arrow. So I'm going to use my long loop for this one into my right hand, focusing on that thumb toward my armpit. Free arm, left arm goes over that foot bar, reaching to make my arms parallel, and then coming back through center. Watch what your hips are doing. Think like a jam lid on a jam jar. If we're twisting the whole jar, we're not going to get that jam out of that jar. So we're just thinking about twisting the top half, that jam lid, top half of our body at the waist. Add your rainbow reset, coming up and over 4 times. 4 or so. Good. Reaching up and over. And then last one, reaching up. And we'll come back through center. Good. Okay. Back to my short loop, coming into that internal rotation for my rotator cuff. So elbow stays tucked into my side, opening and closing. Forearm crosses the body. So often what I'll see in class is arms really wanting to make a big exercise of this, but it's not. It's small by design. If you've ever had a shoulder injury, this is probably the first exercise your physio will give you. I should know. Good. Last one. And then we'll switch. Other hand, left hand. Grabbing onto that short loop. Might have to use the long one. Last 2. And then last one. All right, you can hang that strap up and we'll come back into our mermaid. So shin is up against the shoulder block, right shin, making sure that we're on to those glutes. Now my focus is that my right glute stays down, my right hip. So although you're staring at my back, this is a good way to see that I'm trying to keep that right hip down. What our body often wants to do is this. We're aiming to keep the glute down. Am I drilling this into your heads? Absolutely. Is it important? Absolutely. Hands can come to that front corner. I'm looking at my hands. Glute down, straight arms. Peel yourself up. A variation of swan here. Maybe your hands can go wide. And don't be surprised if your rotation in your spine is better on one side versus the other. We are not symmetrical, so you're not alone in that regard. Next time you're down, stay down. Bend and straighten your arms. Bilateral press. Right arm reaches out to the right, bending and straightening. Might have to walk the left hand in just a little bit toward the center of your foot bar. And then last one, we'll come all the way in. Okay, we'll come into our lower body again. So you could use that ball as a pillow. I'm coming onto my forearm because I want to keep things even after my first side. Ball comes under your lower oblique, scooching my body back and down, taking up as much space as I can here. That long loop in front is coming onto my top foot, arch of my foot here. Starting with that kick, extend the leg long, bend and come back in. Neck is long, trusting your leg can do it when you're not watching. So since we've had the same spring for upper body mermaid or side body work and our lower half, you could go to a heavier spring here as long as you can keep this upper body stability. Last one, keeping the leg long. Internal rotation, external rotation. Think about the movement coming from your hip. Good. Last two. And then last one, you can bend, come all the way in. High five it if you need it. Okay, straight leg goes long, lifting and lowering. My foot is parallel. Remembering to boost through the side here. It's the first thing we forget. Like I said earlier, we were stabilizing on this left side earlier. So if you start to feel it a little quicker, like I am, that is why. Last three. Thank goodness. Last two. Last one, we stay up, down an inch, up an inch. 3, 2, and then last one, we can bend, come all the way in. Little high five. Okay, last but not least, we'll come into that flexion and extension of the leg here. So sweeping forward and then coming back in line with the body. So I'm not going to focus on bringing the leg behind the body. Just in line with my torso, maybe slightly back. So we're also working the side body when we're in this forearm position here. But this can be hard on the shoulder and neck, so totally okay to use that ball. Last one, sweep forward, toes to the floor, pulse. Feeling this one much quicker than I did the last time. Last two, circles, slow and controlled. Almost there, and we'll stretch out the leg. Other direction. 3, 2, and 1. Thank goodness. Let's take that strap off. I'll flip to face you, but you can certainly face that same direction for our lower body stretch here. So that left leg can come on top. Whew, feel that one. Gently pressing away. You might not need to. Whew. Getting into that glute here in piriformis. And then we'll switch. We did on the other side. A little extra stretch won't hurt. And then we made it to the very best part, feet in straps. So we'll come to 2 medium springs. So balanced body, that would be like 2 red. On my little Aero Pilates machine, I'm gonna come to 2 black. And then we'll come to lie on our backs. I'm putting my headrest back up again. Legs can go long, very edge of my reformer here, lowering back down. So modified Pilates roll up. That ball can roll away. Pressing one foot onto the foot bar. To easily pop those straps on. And then we'll bring our legs to Pilates V here. So heels are together, toes are apart. Long through the neck, shoulders from the ears, bend and stretch the legs. Finishing lying down is like just the best, isn't it? Extending and bending the legs like a little reward. And then we'll go wide with the feet. Add like a foot or two of space between your legs, bending and extending the legs. So if those ropes ever start to attack you, it's usually because our ropes are too low, and then we end up with the ropes all over. So we're just nice and high here, a little bit higher than you might think, extending and bending. We'll come into a variation of swimming frog. So heels are together. I'm going to bend and come in. Legs go wide, extend the legs long, heels come back in together. So think like the kick that we would use for breaststroke. One will be backwards, and then we'll smooth it out a little bit. So we bend and come in, aiming not to move the carriage as you kick the legs out. Heels come in together, lengthen the legs. So our low back stays on the carriage. Our tailbone stays on the carriage. Our goal with feet in straps here is to work on 360-degree hip mobility and stretching out muscles that can lead to low back tightness. All right, let's switch directions. So my legs are long. We open, we bend in toward ourselves here. Heels together, go out. Good. And then we can smooth it out. And then last one, legs can come in together. Okay, let's extend the legs nice and long, parallel feet. We can lower and lift our straight leg. So this is the one to really watch that tailbone doesn't come up. If this bothers your low back, you can pause, heels together, long diamond with the legs. Still lowering and lifting, up to you. We can add on a capital T. Next time your legs are up, we open, close, lower your legs. Good. I promise I will always have feet in straps when we're on the reformer. It's just the best. Good. Capital I. Open and close. I'll often say in class that no one smiled or there's very little smiling. And then at the very end, all of a sudden, I'm like, time for feet and straps. And I'm everyone's best friend again. Good. Capital I, opening and closing. And then last one. All right, 2 circles side by side. Picture Harry Potter's glasses here, okay? So we're aiming to keep the feet parallel for this one. And then externally rotate. Toes point out to the sides. Seeing how it changes your circle. I know I can go bigger with external rotation, probably the case for you. And then internal rotation, these guys get pretty small. Good. Switch directions with your internal rotation, with your external rotation, and then your parallel feet. Good. All right, let's bend the left leg. Right leg can come to the ceiling. We'll give a pull onto the rope here to get a hamstring stretch, some length into the backs of the legs. And then that right leg can go out to the side. So I like to use my left hand onto that opposite rope, getting that inner thigh stretch. Trying not to hit the things in your house. Good. And then we'll switch. Left leg to the ceiling. Right leg bends. I just like to keep my right leg out of it for a hamstring stretch. You could do both legs at the same time. I know for some of us we feel that in our back more. And then my right hand will stay on my left rope here. Left leg, inner thigh stretch. Never forcing it, just coaxing it. And then lastly, we'll bend both of our legs here. You could bring the bottoms of your feet together, lowering down toward the springs or just kind of hanging above the pelvis. And we'll take a few big, deep breaths here. We can bring our knees into our chest, just rocking side to side. Little baby spinal massage. We'll take those straps off. Feet can come onto the foot bar, and then we can come up to seated. Wonderful job today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me for this intermediate Pilates reformer flow. And I will be here again next week, and I can't wait to see you then.